Hello, everybody. It's about 6 minutes past noon on Thursday. We had a little technical glitch which caused everything to freeze up as we are continuing to use our new technology and learning how to use it. We'll always presume that it is not operator error, and Jerusha is doing a marvelous job and has rebooted the entire system and got us up and running. Thank you, Jerusha. I was saying that I'm going to start with a piece by Thomas Tompkins, and I'm going to be using some of the 16-foot stops on our fantastic Fisk organ here in the rear balcony at First Presbyterian Church in Evansville. And I'm going to, without further ado, if you've been waiting for 5 minutes for some music, play this wonderful voluntary by Thomas Tompkins. So a nice gentle beginning from our old friend Thomas Tomkins, that piece written approximately 373 years ago. It's not one of the ones he actually dated with a specific date that lies on its own, but most of the music in the collection of music here by Thomas Tomkins dates from around that same period. We're going to zoom on around, well, actually less than 100 years to Dietrich Buxtehude and a couple of his chorale preludes. As we know, Bach had heard of the fame of Buxtehude and walked all the way to Lübeck to hear Buxtehude play. He said he was going to be gone 2 months, and after 7 months his employer got rather annoyed that he hadn't come back. But you can definitely hear that Bach was deeply, deeply influenced by the music of Buxtehude, and particularly his organ playing and settings of organ chorales. The first one is actually a pair of pieces setting Ach Gott und Herr, a translation of the first verse, and I'm going to play these two verses separately. Ah, my Lord and God, how great and heavy are the sins I have committed. There is nobody who can help me to be found in this world. The tune is in the left hand, and again, exploring our 16-foot stops, I'm going to play that on the clarinet and the 16-foot prestant, which are the pipes right in the front of the case. And they are going to be accompanied by the 16 and 8-foot flutes, also played up an octave, so they sound like 8 and 4-foot flutes. And so here it is, the first setting of Ach Gott und Hair, and I'll play the second verse and explain what that's about in just a moment. Is quite different. Verse 2 reads, "If I ran far and wide in this lifetime, right up to the world's end, and wanted to be free of my cross, I would not succeed in this." And what Buxtehude does, he takes an ornamented version of the chorale melody and kind of zooms around all over the keyboard as if he is truly searching far and wide, right up to the world's end. He goes almost all the way down to the bottom of the keyboard and certainly visits the top, at least as the keyboards would have been in Buxtehude's days. And now, settings of another chorale prelude by Dietrich Buxtehude. This is a setting of Christ our Lord came to the Jordan. And the rest of the first verse reads, according to his Father's will, he received baptism from St. John to fulfill his work and destiny. Thus he wishes to draw us a bath, to cleanse us from sin, to drown bitter death, as well as through his own blood and wounds. It permitted a new life. The expressive qualities of the harmony of this particular chorale prelude certainly are a very strong preview of what Bach was to get up to in the following decades, leading into right up to Bach's death in 1750. I think Buxtehude died in 1623, so they were definitely a generation apart, but Bach definitely learned from this kind of setting. Again, about the registration, the main melody and ornamented part is going to be played on the 16-foot press stand. These are the pipes right in the front of the organ, and they were the very first ones to be voiced. They're the main fundamental voice of the entire instrument, the 16-foot press stand. And the entire registration for this chorale takes only 2 stops. So the press stand is also the accompaniment down in the pedal, and the left hand is taken by the violin diapason up in the swell division. So just 2 stops playing this extremely beautiful piece. And to end with, 2 trumpet tunes from North America. Some of our earlier music, dating from the 18th century. The last couple of concerts I've played from our little Giesecke organ, dating from 1889, made here in Evansville, but it only has 1 keyboard and no reed stop. And there are some glorious little trumpet tunes from way back when, really written in the style of what you would expect from Handel and his contemporaries. The first is by James Bremner. Bremner, we don't actually know when he was born, but he died in 1780, and he's a relative of the Edinburgh composer and publisher Robert Bremner, and he arrived in Philadelphia in 1763 as a music teacher and was organist of Christ Church. Among his pupils was Francis Hopkinson, a gifted writer, composer, and statesman who was one of the signers of the Constitution. So, a trumpet air by James Bremner. And lastly, for our concert today, another trumpet tune, a Trumpet Voluntary, this time by Francis Linley, who lived from 1771 to 1800. I mentioned last year he died at the tender age of 29, originally from Doncaster in England, but he spent some time in Philadelphia where he got fully integrated into the musical life of that great city. So, a Trumpet Voluntary by Francis Linley. So, thank you once again for joining me here this Thursday lunchtime. I do hope you've heard some music to perhaps brighten your day or bring some new perspective, and hope you can join us again next Thursday at noon, again, for a live concert here from First Presbyterian Church. A reminder that we have weekly services on Sunday mornings at 8:30 and 10:30. You can join us either in person here in the sanctuary, and of course we're socially distanced. We've got all kinds of pews roped off, hand sanitizer, face mask if you need it, or you can join us, as always, online with a Facebook Live feed and maybe some other ways coming soon too. So once again, thanks to my colleague and friend Jerusha for manning the technology. Oh, sorry, I should say not manning the technology. Ooh, I got a dirty look for that. Womaning the technology. Really appreciate that. And again, hope you can join us next week. Thanks again. Bye-bye.